What is up, everybody? It is Alex Williamson here to illuminate you on the secret history living inside of your aquarium. How's everybody doing tonight? Anybody have any bright ideas what we should talk about? so, uh, yeah, just hanging out here alone in the dark. No, it's not dark yet. I am uh, out here in Western Washington, and yeah, they're kind of neon. They're what do they call them? They're fiber optic, is what they are. They're utter garbage as actual sunglasses, but I thought I'd rock them for you guys because live streams. I like to bring out my weird glasses. Plants are doing good. All right. Well, what do you guys want to talk about? I have an agenda that we can talk about, but I figured that I've been neglecting you all as, patrons, subscribers, human beings, basically. And I figured we'll talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. It gets me excited. It just makes me. Okay, that's enough of that. Okay, so what's going on? What's new? Will I tattoo again? Yes. I was actually just thinking about that. That's funny that you ask. Not fish related, I know. Sorry for those of you who want this to be all fish all day, all the time. Yeah, actually, I wanted to do stick and poke tattoos again. I have the gear to do professional tattoos like I had in my shop years ago. But I would like to actually get back to some primal tattooing and making the ink myself, wrapping the needles with thread that I've spun, and then, yeah, doing that. Um, yeah. Oh, somebody says, I've got new plants called sawleaf logwidia. Not Lugwidia, or, yeah, not Lugwidia. Dr. Pepper, not paying me. They should be. In any case, today was a good day. My wife and I went to a picnic. I took some of the fish, my fancy danios, and longfin zebra danios is what they are. And we gave some to a friend who has maybe an 8-year old, or I don't know, about 8-year old kid, and another kid that's maybe 6, and they were going to be in they're going to be in a pond in their backyard. So we got them some Danios and some white cloud minnows, and they were super excited. I brought them in a milk jug, and every little kid there were a lot of little kids. Funny thing happens when you know, get above 30, and then, and I guess in my wife's case, you hit 40, whatever. Somewhere in between those years, everybody around you explodes with children, and you either hang out with them or you go hang out with your friends that are still partying it up or whatever. And the people in between are too busy to go do anything. It's an interesting world, but I really do love seeing the kids light up when you get them involved with fish. And it was a fish I mean, they're just fish in a milk jug, and yeah, it was a lot of parents inquiring, "What are you doing with those at this picnic table?" Because they were there all day, basically. I didn't want to put them in a bag. I didn't want to put them in a breather bag or anything. Um, oh yeah, Alex. I know everybody always thinks I'm younger because of my chubby cheeks. I also think that lightning strikes help keep you looking young. No, I don't know. Let's see here. Cancer Train just got orange sakura shrimp from Aquatic Arts. They're doing great, 75-gallon. Rabbit snails as well. Gonna let them establish themselves a while before adding nano fish. That's a good idea. Honestly, I always like to let a tank establish itself longer with the nano. I'll put nano fish in before I put in shrimp, just simply for the fact that they have so much more waste byproducts, but you can do it either way. You really don't need to cycle a tank per se for shrimp quite the same as for fish if you're not putting fish in, because they create such little output that if you have any filter media from another tank or a sponge filter, pretty much at the same speed that the ammonia breaks down, as long as you're not overfeeding, the bacteria can grow. So that's one kind of cool thing. And I don't advise that to people new to the hobby, but if you've been in the hobby a while and you're like, I got new shrimp, but they're not getting along, or I don't know where I'm going to put them, it was an impulse buy. It happens, guys. I know. And that's one thing that's kind of good about them is you can get a freaking Tupperware. And I think I showed that on the well. Oh wait, the video hasn't come out yet. So basically, I've been doing experiments of how poor of a shrimp keeper I can be with several species, and I have totally crowned Malawa shrimp and golden nebula caridina shrimp as tougher than Neocaridina, the colorful cherry shrimp and blue dreams. I have been able to put them outside since early April here. So we actually had one freeze, and we had, let's see, one freeze. We had a day that was 94, and they're in a Tupperware bin that is 4 gallons or 3.5 gallons with substrate that was from inside and cycled, with plants that float like hornwort and duckweed and stuff like that. They've been outside and they get about 4 hours of direct sunlight, because the main issue is you don't want to overheat your shrimp. You don't want to cook them. And so as long as that water's staying under 80, it's really surprising. If we're talking about the course of a day to them, for them to get used to, they can go to 70 in the daytime and like 55 at night and survive that. Now, some lines are more tricky than others, and you need to have water with nothing in it and very healthy shrimp to begin with. If they have any parasites, issues, or they're just not a strong strain, maybe they're a really new strain that's really inbred, that's not going to fly. But yeah, so somebody said you've been struck by lightning, question mark. Yes, I have, and it was during this show. I mean, not filmed, but you can go back and look at those episodes if you'd like. I feel like I've run it over too many times for my patient fans, but there's lots of videos from around that time. The summary of it is I got struck. I felt fine for a week. Well, not fine. I broke my back and my the orbital part of my sinuses, and burns and things like that. But I thought I'd escaped unscathed other than that, and a bunch of my teeth getting just jacked up, 19 crowns and root canals or extractions. And in fact, I'm getting more extractions, unfortunately, from stuff that they did root canals on, but the teeth are just dead. They're wiggling, and so I'm actually gonna have to get. I'm laying it all out there, guys. There's no tabloid here. Alex is gonna have dentures, so I'm gonna have partial dentures that sit in here. Sometimes I sing all the teeth back there. Lightning and teeth don't get along well, especially if you already have fillings. They'll expand or contract, or the tooth will contract. I don't know. They're two different components with different degrees of resistance, electrical resistance. And so it's kind of like putting a hot plate from the stove or the microwave right into a cold thing of water, and if it's brittle, it shatters, and that's what my teeth did with the lightning. Um, and they broke into the bone and everything else. So, the other thing I was gonna say is that the merchandise store now has some iPhone cases in white. It also has some tote bags. What I'm going to be doing tonight after I get off with this is updating the merchandise store, in that I want to invert the colors. That might take some work, in that it looks all black and white, but it's actually gradients. It's gray and black on a white background. I need to get rid of the white background, even though most printers don't print white. Some of the clothing printers do, And so I need to get rid of that. So while I do have over, I think there's like 60 combos you could put together right now. All the shirts that are out right now are white because that's the color of the background of the artwork that I uploaded. And uh, the front has a mechanical or steampunk. It kind of depends on the fish, like how extreme I went. And then on the back, it has a anatomical drawing of the fish, the same fish in a mirror image. And to print on both sides is a little pricey. I think most shirts are like 21 and up, $21 for like a basic T-shirt that's like cheap, made in China, and then you can get like the soft one that's like a 300 thread count, made in the USA, blah blah blah. So you can. I just figured you guys can choose that, and my markup for each thing, like the money I make is it's like I don't know $6 before taxes or $5 before taxes on those. And so if it's higher than that, you'll know that that price is reflected in that the shirt costs 16 whatever for me to manufacture and it's selling for 21. Um has anybody had mermaid weed themselves? I have had mermaid weed and I may still have mermaid weed. I love mermaid weed. It is a great plant. Um and it's an oddball in a family that is not super common. Ooh, look at this guy. So this is a Malawa shrimp, and everybody's trying to tell me there's no way they could mix with Neocaridina. You know, different types of species, different order even. But they're blue. Why are they blue? I've never had them blue except for when they live with these ones. This is what most of them look like and what they should look like. Orangish, they turn lilac, they'll turn dark colors. They'll look like these guys down here. Um, but all of a sudden, we have some that look suspiciously blue. It's got a blue stripe on it. And I don't know. I don't know if it's blending in with the blue dreams in the tank or what. And I really want to do more research and digging into, what the species barriers are, how different they are genetically, and all that jazz. Just because I don't think we really know. Now, also this tank, it used to have big open space. Now we've got all this duckweed in here, or not, well, we do have duckweed, but all this red root floater. I've allowed some of my favorite, this is actually, this is Bacopa, and also, what else do we have in here? Bacopa, and then we've got Ludwigia Super Red Repens, and coming out of the water with the light right here, it's got a beautiful purple and red color. I'm really liking some of the immerse effects, how they look in the tanks around the house right now. All the snails and shrimp, all the baby neocaridinas are all feeding up here. So this has actually become their new safe zone, as opposed to down low in and around the rocks. So I might make an update video on how Neocaridina and Little Fry seem to be much safer actually up here in a tangle of stuff. It doesn't look as attractive in some people's minds. I understand that, but especially with some immerse growth and some of the colors you get right near the surface, this just crazy pink. Let's try to get the light off that. Crazy pink colors, and live stream never does stuff justice with colors, obviously, but with the red root floaters and the pink, and then with the green with the duckweed, and then the also using boy, I'm losing my mind tonight, guys. But I took out a bunch of the lilies that were in here because they just took over. So this is the world's smallest lily species, water lily species. And I got that from Aquatic Arts. I've also got Limnophilia bellum, which is kind of an oddball. It's more of a grass, but each leaf can grow into totally different colors. Like If there's, let's see if there's an example on any of these. You don't need CO2, and in fact, it doesn't lessen CO2. But some of these leaves are brown, some of them are slightly purple, some of them are really green, some are red. So it's kind of a cool plant, as is the Kabamba furcata, which just has a lovely orange, peach, pink hue. Definitely better than the purple Kabamba from the Carolinas. This stuff is from Patagonia, I believe, and it's really pretty. Plus, it can endure a lot lower temperatures. I wanted to show you guys. Look how many stinking shrimp I have all of a sudden. These are Malawa and then also golden nebula shrimp. And there's plenty of fish in here, but ever since I let this get overgrown and I stopped making it the pink and purple plant tank, I stopped dosing it with ferts daily and I stopped cutting it daily. I still really love my Lagonandra miboldi pink European. This is the difference between the European pink and then this is a different plant over here coming out from the same base area. That's our version of red or pink in the United States. These two leaves, well, this one's getting chewed up. This one's really chewed up. But this is the color you'll get if you can get the strain out of Germany. So I had some strings pulled, and I should shout out Han Aquatics for that. Also, some of these smaller lilies are really fun too. The if you want to call them a lotus or a lily, do as you will. They're all micrantha. I think they're all micrantha family. And in here we've got a small. These you should be able to find anywhere. Just a small tiger lily. The other one got so big and unwieldy that I ended up putting it in here, and this tank is 2.5 feet tall. It's a custom bow front it's like just over 40 gallons instead of the normal 37 bow front, and it's a little more narrow, you can see here on these edges. But the leaves have all reached the top in 2 days. It's just incredible how plants put out those leaves. Now, also the silver Lagonandra miboldi, which was a real hard to find one, doing great. The silver in it, you can see that reflection from the light off of there. So that plant's doing good. This is a Lagonandra miboldi red, which is the kind that you can probably find online. Red or pink. There's the European versions out of Germany and the Czech Republic and Poland and Hungary, kind of Eastern Bloc countries. And then there is the American kind, or the UK, French, Italian kind. And they're different. They're different strains. One was worked on by the Russians or collected by the Russians quite some time ago, and the other one was a UK, Germany, and American expedition that got those. Let's see here. Waiting for your logo. Aquaballs, you should message me again. I hate to say it, my short-term memory on certain things. Uh, yes, it's Lagonandra miboldi. That's what these are. Um, do I have any bonsai trees? I don't have any bonsais at the moment. We have some potted plants and things. We've got a lot of overrun plants, but nothing that's trimmed well. I'm trying to think. We don't have any. Nothing that we have is bonsai right now, is it, honey? We got this little fellow. I like him. Uh, but no bonsai. I do have old bonsai tools from the 1940s, which are really cool. And I used to be into starting the trees, but who knows what happened to them. Let's see here. Then this little experiment, shrimp being kept, basically, I mean, this window's always open. So these guys are kept at a little below room temperature. They've had babies. I mean, it's not good lighting right this second, but there are all these Malawish baby shrimp in here, like probably 50 right now, plus their parents. Uh, and this has no aeration. it just has plants and not a ton at that. This is an interesting plant that you won't find in the hobby. Well, maybe you will sooner or later or somewhere. But it's Phloskopin scandens, and I my take on it, I don't know, I'm torn. It looks like a normal plant, right? It's nice and sturdy, but it's very. I'm a plant. I look like every other plant. It's not very unique. It's not super fun. This was this is actually the Hygrophilia sunset growing up out. It is not pretty at all compared to what it looks like underwater. And then also what's interesting in this colder water is the all of my Blixa pulled itself out of its roots and it's just been floating, this Blixa. So this Blixa looks green and fine, but they're all up out of the ground for weeks and or months now. So that's interesting. Also, over here we've got some pyramid moss and another Phloskopus scandens that didn't make it, but then lucky bamboos going nuts. But yeah, no bonsais. But this is part of my experiment, and then actually outside, right down below, I have some tubs that have been going since April, March and April, that actually have some pretty cool stuff going on in them as far as I'm just shocked that the shrimp are doing well. Everything that was a dark color got eaten by uh they got eaten by raccoons and birds and stuff, but whatever. I have that one you said from Germany. Nice to know. I love German, my favorite team in the World Cup. Right on. Xenon, Corbett, welcome. I like to send you some plants you don't have. Aqua balls, that would be really nice. Thank you. Yeah, if people ever want to send fish or plants or whatever, I'm happy to also promote, if you guys are trying to sell as a hobbyist and whatnot on GetGills or Aquabid. GetGills.com is a newer one, and I like it. They don't take cuts out of it. It's kind of just like Craigslist for fish, essentially. Um, and some of the ideas that Dan from Dan's Fish Tanks actually came up with for it were ideas that I mentioned in videos in years past. Man, I love the way these plants look right now. Um, and those videos and things that he does, they're great too. So his channel's top notch. Man, look at all these shrimp that are coming now that I fed right when we went live. Let's see if we can get like a darker, like they're hard to see, I know, but there are over 30 or 40 right here. They're just packed in, just solid shrimp. And they're just eating and doing their thing. Now this is right here. This is a short nose algae shrimp, Japanese algae shrimp, and it's yellow in this tank. Downstairs it had red and green. Looks like it's flexing. It may be shedding soon. And then here we have a Malawa shrimp again, and then we have the golden nebulas, which are more gold-ish or sometimes lavender. But the real thing that you can tell them apart, even though it's tricky, is they have the Malawas will have these dots too, but the nebulas will actually have raised right here, raised ribbing that it looks gold. It looks like a metallic flake, and I think it's some sort of calcification on their body. But this tank is so full. Yeah, here's a nice big short nose algae, Japanese algae eating shrimp, Caridina also, and truth be told, I have not changed the water in this tank like in probably 6 months. I just do top offs, and it's doing great. I cut back on a lot of the ferts and stuff from when it was in a hardcore trying to keep it just tip top shape, and I turned the light down a little bit. What's the best light for a planted tank? Well, Melissa, that is a interesting question because it really depends on who you are and what you need. So for me, this is my perfect light for this tank. For most people, this would just be an algae factory. And this is a twin star. I think below I linked some of my favorite nano tank lights. I think I did. I can't remember. I linked some stuff long ago when I did the live stream layout, like what's automatically in the description. I know for sure, though, that there's a description and link to the merch stuff, that new stuff, also to the aquatic arts discount codes and all that, and to Han Aquatics and his discount codes. But this stuff, the lights, this is a twin star light. It's a little more on the expensive end from when I was working with aquariums then. And this is their high powered light for this size. They also, the next thing up, I would probably say is a Kessel maybe, which is more of a spotlight. But this has these nice pastel lights. You can't really change the settings other than the amount of electricity going through it, so a dimmer switch. And that is limiting to a lot of people. For me, once I kind of dialed in everything, like now stuff's looking pretty good. Yeah, there's a little bit of algae here and there, like on certain, you can kind of see it on the edge of the glass and stuff, but I don't clean it really. And it's going strong. It's doing well. And this is where all those Phoenix Rasboras ended up also. And they're looking great. They're looking shiny and new. So this is a nice, super sleek. It gets warm. The heat sinks on the top. But you know what? Another great option if you're looking for a cheaper option that provides highlight, because that's a highlight. That's the Twin Star 600 AE, I want to say, and then they have the 600C or the 900C. Basically, the C connotates less light intensity. Now these are Cree LEDs, these ones here, and they're you can get Cree LEDs in a lot of different lights. These are actually just spotlights for like your garage or something. Also for floodlights, and they actually are supposed to have a plastic case that has a remote sensor for them. But I got them. A friend of a friend got them through. I don't know, eBay, or it might have been like one of the Chinese or Indonesian, like similar to eBay type places. But they ended up being $20 a piece. And you can get them. I've seen these ones. Their GoSun is the brand, GOSUN, and then they are Cree CREE LEDs. These ones are 30 watts a piece, and they go up to 60 and 120 watts, and these will roast your tank. So in this tank, it's got a lot of water column. It's deep. If I put these, and I have, on a 20 long, it will cause algae, and then it will literally kill the algae because it's so strong it kills the algae. But it seems to diffuse well as long as you've got like over a foot of clearance before you're really hitting stuff. And that lets me plant stuff down in here and actually maintain some colors. And then when it gets to the top, the colors can get really bright, psychedelic, and vivid. And then off to the sides, just totally indirect light. That's where all my boosts and my albino. This is a completely albino chimera. So chimera means that it's a single organism that has two different DNA sets. And I should do a whole episode on that, so I'm not going to get too far into it. But a lot of the albino or pinto or variegated anubias, petite nana or nana is actually a chimera. So it means that some leaves are green, some are white, some are half white, and it's just kind of random what sprouts where. Other than that, we've got a Taiwan nymphoides that's growing like crazy because of the lights. And then the real thing is that the lily pads are on here. So these lights being intense as they are, they don't burn everything out because I've got lily pads and other things floating directly under them if you see where the lights are. So, yeah. And I am going to be doing a video, actually, Patricia, very soon on what I have as substrate in all my tanks because I've been asked about 10 times this week. It's pretty crazy. How big do rainbow endlers get? Rainbow endlers, maybe an inch and a half. Maybe the females could reach 2 inches. I'm gonna try 6 months, no water change on this. Well, actually, that's not true. The very beginning of or the very end of April is the last water change on this tank. Other than that, I'll probably top it off in a day. I'll top it off to here, so maybe I don't know, 8% water change. And then I have changed the filter. So, and the filter, it is a filter, gutted out the filter. I put bio rings in there. It's at a nice trickle and it's overflowing because this is a little clogged. And like I said, I need to change this because right now I just unclogged this. But we've got too much of the good bacteria growing on there. But to be fair, nitrates are at like nothing, and we've got a fairly decent load of nanofish in here, and well over 100 shrimp now in this place, all over the place. Just probably 250 shrimp, honestly. Scientific name for the Phoenix rasboras is Boraras, Boraras, Mera, Merah. Now these guys are some Fongzi rasboras, this beautiful peach and electric gold color. Looks like it's lit up from the inside, these guys. They're another really cool fish. At one point, there were 3 left in the world known about. They were thought to be extinct for 50 years. They were found in the center of Bangkok in the sewers. And as the city grew, the area became polluted, and the one tributary that they lived in, nobody had seen them since 1971. Well, in 2006, in Germany, the great grandson of the man who named them, who gave them their Latin name and taxonomy, wrote the paper, saw them in with a batch of pork chop rasboras and SB rasboras, and saw them and was like, I think these are those fish no one's seen forever. So he called and tried to figure out where the heck they came in from. And the best he could get was somewhere in Thailand. So could have been Bangkok, could have been somewhere nearby. But there were 3. There was 1 female, 2 males, and he managed to breed them. I managed to get a hold of some. Now that was in 2006. And if you know what you're doing with microfish, nanofish, you can propagate them. Most of them, I would honestly say, there's not a huge difference in breeding chili rasboras or lime rasboras or some Fongzi, SB, anything that's going to be an inch or under or like tetras too. Most of them have pretty similar egg scattering techniques, with the exception of like Batis and some gouramis. They may not. All right, let's see here. What else do we have going on? They're like 15 to 20 on Amazon. Oh yeah, if you guys could hit that like button, I would appreciate it. I would hit the like button for all of y'all to say that I liked you. Thanks for rallying, guys. They may not be readily available in Australia. The other thing about the merchandise that I've got set up, one, I would love to know what colors you guys want because I'm doing it through Teespring and they let you select from like 12 colors in most things and then cuts. I know people want tank tops. I know people want, oh, what else did people want? Oh, stickers for aquariums or for, your filter or whatever. So I'll probably do something with that. I don't like putting my name everywhere, even though I'm a graphic designer and artist by trade. I don't like, I don't know. It's just, it's a weird thing. It just makes me uncomfortable. If someone else makes a cool design for me about the secret history living in your aquarium, maybe I'll use that. I don't know. But, yeah. And UG Aquatics, you are totally correct in that you said I could get rid of the filter completely on this other tank back here that we were all just looking at. It's totally true. If I put an air stone in there, it would be fine. Lucas Bretz has been working with his tanks, and he doesn't gravel vac. He hardly does water changes. And as long as you put the right amount of plants and fish in there, the bacteria slowly over the course of a year with the right filters and things, you can walk it up to a point where it's better off on its own than with humans fiddling with it, because at this point in this tank there are so many plants per square inch. I mean, the biomass of plants is insane in here. When I've cleared this out before, when it was all trimmed and nice, this is a 17-gallon tank. At least 5 gallons are taken up by substrate and stone, and the rest, or wood, the rest is actually all plant. And when I've pulled that out, it's displaced like 6 gallons. So it's probably like a 10-gallon tank, which you need to keep in mind with your fish. But also, when they are all these very, let's flip this around again. They're all these very, that didn't flip. Sorry, guys. They're all these very, these are the biggest waste makers there are. And they're only in here, Dirk. Um, they're only in here right now to kind of keep them separate, because I bought these on an impulse and I didn't have a whole tank that I was ready for them with. So they just had babies. Babies. I don't know. Where'd the babies go? I swear there was babies. Um, and they had babies in here, which is good, great, grand. And now I can move the adults out somewhere else. I just wanted to get those babies made. Um, Aquaballs, I appreciate that. You say you love my videos because I do my homework. Well, I try. I try to learn and listen. Never think I know everything. Um, yeah. I do have mods. Bob Kaler from Kaler's Aquatics. And then I also have the first mod of mine, which is Betsy Cummings. And maybe I do need a third mod, so I'll consider that. If someone's interested in modding, I'm trying to get more on a schedule, doing live streams on Wednesday and then on Sundays. I'm thinking that'll be the schedule that'll work. Is this an MDMA tattoo? Kind of. This is serotonin, and this is dopamine. So the chemicals that make you happy, that make you sad, that give you panic attacks, that give you overwhelming joy. They also just help fire random nerve signals all throughout your body, including like in your gut and in your heart and all over the place. But it's kind of a yin and yang of neurotransmitting regulators. Definite nerd tattoo. You want to see a couple more nerdy tattoos, but then we're gonna go downstairs because I wanted to show you guys a couple other things. Also, I wonder if we can see them. Light's kind of funky in this room right now, but we've got these crib. Come on. We've got Crebensis in here, as you guys know. The Crebensis poulters all doing well. These plecos are getting, they're adults. They're ready to spawn now. And I'd kind of like to get them into the 40 breeder downstairs, perhaps. The babies from the cribs, there's two stashes of them now. There's another pair that had babies under here. And this whole rock slash plant moss thing is basically a hollow constructed thing I made. You can see it's hollow, the light coming through. It's caves, so set up like a big Stonehenge shape kind of, and then some top decorations. But then you've got fish hanging out in here. My algae eater is just getting old and lazy. And then I like these shelves, even though they're not the most beautiful, but like Han from Han Aquatics 3D printed these for me. And it's just like every time I have a break off a little piece of Anubias or Booth, I just stick them on a shelf kind of out of the way, and that works out well. Also, I want to get him, if I get the cribs out of here, I want to get him another female from somewhere, or I might get rid of him and try something altogether different. I love how my Ember Tetras and my Reed Tetras literally school together. Just had a video on that. Looks like one of them has an injury. Yeah, he's got a big nip out of the side of him. And I know exactly who did it. It was the Cribs. Mama Crib was cranky, and I'm sure it got too close to her babies. But in here, there's a little stucco or adobe, I don't know what it is, a ceramic of some sort. Little dome, and that's where the babies are all hanging out. She's hid the babies as they get older more than I've ever seen. Usually, oh, good. The pleco is using its cave. Like these plecos just do not like caves. I've had more plecos spawn in all my tanks using ledges than caves, oddly enough. Also, I love when you've got, going on 3 years or so in a tank and you start to get moss growing in funky cracks and crevices. And um, yeah, I just love how that works and how that looks. So I'm really happy that I've got moss in every little crack, ripping apart some of these rocks. And on these this wood, I mean, you can't even see the wood anymore. It's so overtaken by. Same with this. That was a piece of wood. This is all wood, and it's now just the Anubias cophifolia has taken over all of it, as well as the Boos and Anubias. Same here, Boos, cophifolia, and then a giant Boos, Godzilla, red Boos. Some brownie ghost under there, brownie ghost up in here, right up in here. Let's see, right back there. Brownie ghost has a beautiful color on it. Um, Thank you for envying my tanks, I suppose. I mean, I wish I could give everyone planted tanks. But, I started with this channel. So I've kept fish my whole life. When I started this channel, from the age of 8, I won some at a carnival. What I won is I won a goldfish where you throw quarters or whatever into the thing, and then if you make it, you get to take home a fish in the bowl. So I had a fish bowl and I had a goldfish named Elvis. And then by the age of 12, I started getting into guppies. And purple guppies were not a very popular or common guppy. And so I started really intentionally trying to breed these purple snakeskin metallic guppies. And I got into it and was able to get a hold of a good source in Thailand and then work with a guy at a place called Guppy Train who's still around. And then after that, I ended up selling them for profit throughout part of high school. Certain point, I became too much of a stoner, I guess, and I had fish, but I wasn't like breeding them and notating what traits certain males had and setting them aside, and saving F1 and to F3 and crossing and blah blah blah. And then by the time I got to college, we got another fish tank. Um, do you just use aquarium co-op ferts, or do you have different ferts you use? No, I don't. Actually, right now I don't use aquarium co-op ferts at all. I think I like them for real simple, low tech, low light tanks, but as soon as you get highlight on there, there's better ways to do it, in my opinion. Now, that's everybody's different, and it is nice that they put a lot of what you need in one. It doesn't have iron, it doesn't have a large amount of carbon or anything, which is good. I mean, you don't want that all the time. What I've been using is primarily these. So ADA, the Brighty K, which is potassium, the clear one, and then green Brighty mineral. So that's like all your manganese and some iron and a little bit of let's see, what else would that have in it? It's got phosphates, nitrates, that sort of stuff. Or wait, no, it doesn't have nitrates, that one. So there's a 3 chemical system. There's micro, macro. That's the macro or elemental, and then the potassium. And the potassium one also has what else does it have? Zinc, potassium, manganese, magnesium. The other one is the one that has phosphates of some sort, like phosphoric acid, and they're not real forthcoming what's in the ADA system, and they want you to do like a pump per 10 gallons every day. But the reason I like them is that usually algae in the highlights is because of either phosphates or because of too much nitrogen. And I like to keep my tanks very, very full of fish if I can help it. Why does it keep doing that? Hold on. And so then this allows me to, without, when I was using aquarium co-op easy green, I would do a squirt of it in here, and the next day I'd have algae everywhere. And in under a highlight like this, and then running CO2, which actually I'm not right now, it actually is just, I mean, it was a recipe for disaster, and it's not their fault necessarily. They are. It's not overpriced for the industry, but when you have friends and know how cheap it is to get dry ferts and to mix them yourself, both ADA and aquarium co-op, all of them just feel like silly amounts of money when you could make a 50-gallon drum of this stuff for probably, I'm not kidding, $150. I do like aquarium co-op's small fish fry food, and aquarium co-op's like 15 minutes from my house, so that's a plus. So I do like this stuff. My very favorite for loaches and for shrimp and even little fish once everything else gets torn up. This crab cuisine by Hikari, that stuff is the best. I don't know what's in it, but it's probably crack. I also feed them bloodworms, Daphnia, live baby brine shrimp out of this thing. If you guys haven't seen this thing, it is the easiest, most unstinky, best thing ever. I should make a video about it. I think there's a link actually in the description to it on Amazon, maybe. But so each day, well, watch this. So we'll put a little bit in right now, and boom, that's not even the fifth of it. But those are all live baby brine that hatched last night, and each day all I do is I put a little teeny quarter of a teaspoon in the outside rings of this thing, and then inner rings, and they have to swim over and under, and they lose their shell, the little, and then you're left. You don't have to deal with the shells, with the nasty shrimp smell and all that stuff. Um, yeah, it's interesting the way this thing works. It's from a company called Hobby in Germany, and no electricity. Don't need to keep it warmer than a room temperature. You can get a higher hatch rate if you keep it at like 80 to 90 degrees, um, but it's marginal. And so each day you pull this out, and you put a little tap some eggs in there, and it is easy peasy lemon squeezy. We're going downstairs. If I lose you, please forgive me. Service still not good, even with my extender. I'm gonna have some other folks come down and check out my setup. Maybe like Bentley Pasco or someone who is in the tech world. So here we go. Given the rest of this of the hatch baby brine shrimp to this tank right now. We've got this guy just happened to be random outside. I got an albino, which is cool, but that's just the white cloud minnows and a blonde one or whatever you want to call it. It's not truly albino because it has blue eyes, so it's melatonistic, which means its internal organs are not albino. But this tank, it's still the oddball tank. This tank is just gravel, sand, and fluorite there, and maybe like a cup of Eco Complete or Fluval or something like that. Uh, It's really, there's nothing in it hardly that would be nutritious. I do pop root tabs in every year once. I put 6 in usually a year. And in here, we've got algae mountain. We've got shrimp over here, more caridina, oddball species. And then we've got ruby tetras. We've got axelrod, blue axelrod rasboras. They're a great fish too. The blue or the green. And then we've got the bumblebee gobies from Aquatic Arts. They're really cute in a really ugly way. They look like little bulldogs. And then I've got my Maytangensis, no, Shanensis from the region of Shan, which is a drug uh, part of the Golden Triangle of heroin production, and it's a tribal area that's been under communist rule of militants as well as fascist rule between Russia, the U.S., and the Soviets, just over and over, back and forth, back and forth. They're always fighting over the area by funding and fueling the little wars. And so it was very recently that we have been able to explore the area. I am a network tech engineer by trade. I can fix your problem. We'll trade you for some of your coals. Oh, Gray One Watt, if you are around here in Washington, I might take you up on that. Hit me up on my email. I'm sure you can find my email. It's been out there a million times. Wanted to tell what's going on in here. Everybody's really happy right now. I'm leaving the castings. I'll take a turkey baster, and when it gets like really grimy under there, I'll pick up some. But they like picking through their nastiness. It really does help the babies. They're eating bacteria and stuff that the adults didn't digest because they didn't need it. The babies will be able to digest. But right now you can see we've got a nice buried neon yellow sakura. These are neocaradinas, the yellow sakuras here. And then we also have the crystal reds in here. And then we have the Indian chameleon babaltes. And then we have the traditional neon green babaltes, which have that stripe. They have the green, they've got the white eyeball. They're a very common babalti out of India, whereas the chameleon babaltis have a more clear color. They're way more active. They're always swimming in the water column, always. I can't get them to stop. Hold on, why am I so zoomed in? Yeah, there's one right there. Um, but yeah, they're really cool. They change colors. Every color you can imagine, I've seen them change basically. Not every. They don't turn purple often, and they don't turn. What other color don't they turn? They don't usually turn like a real vivid blue, but they turn these kind of clear, subtle colors. And down here, lots of babies. We've got the gold line in with the neocaridina. So this is the gold line caridina, which is fine because then I also have the gold sakura, and this is what it looks like when those cross. So you get like a light yellow and then an intense yellow that's almost not see-through, whereas the pure sakuras are so yellow you can't tell when they're pregnant because they're so yellow. And I kind of wanted to cross them. Like there's one that is probably buried, and you can't even see through them to tell that. So that's another thing. I got a funky thing going on here, and I need to figure it out. This tank is just gravel and sand in here, like coarse sand kind of stuff. This is going on. Daily I've been cleaning it out. Ever since I got rid of plecos. So these are all endlers, by the way. These are rainbow tiger endlers. And this is how big the females can get. I mean, they can get 2.5, 3 inches in rare cases when they're 2.5 or 3 years old and about ready to pass away. But they will have, no joke, 150, 200 babies. Then we've got this little guy. One of the other ones lost his arm and it's grown back. But yeah, what's been going on here is you see this? It's some sort of algae and I'm guessing bacterial growth because it comes back so swiftly. It's I think it's eating the cellulose in material and it doesn't seem to make any of the fish sick or anybody bug anybody. In fact, they seem to kind of eat it, including like the plecos are eating it, and all this diatom algae on the side I leave because they like it. But you see it, it's like clear floaty junk, and it grows so freaking quickly. Like overnight, I cleaned this up yesterday and it's back already. Crayfish, yeah, the crayfish eat the plants, they eat the fish, they chew on the tails of my plecos, they chew on the longfin danios, and then they get beat up. Crayfish don't know how small they are, and they're just jerks. I'm sorry, even the little teeny baby ones. Also in here, then down at the bottom, these guys are not happy right now. I keep having to cool them down because these are they're the darlings of my fish tank, and they are the panda loaches. And also in with them are the blue dream, the bluest blue dream line in the world. This is as high quality as you're gonna get as far as blue dreams. This is one that will be culled immediately after this live stream. Nowhere near where it needs to be, but I do let them grow into themselves because sometimes they don't get the nutrition they need when they're really little, and I want to make sure that, like, okay, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but like this one here is barely even. Like, look at these guys. This one was born, I guarantee you, this week. These guys, and you can see that far away one. He's not gonna make the cut. Whereas this guy is so blue already. He's got blue legs, and he's born 2 weeks ago. Um, so that gives you an indication of the ones that aren't blue enough are closer to this color where they're a see-through blue, and I allow the males to get about this much of that, but the females need to be on point. They need to be spotless, beautiful females usually. This one is as clear as it goes. She's gonna shed soon, and she's having a late birth. You can see she's like, you can see all the eyeballs and the shape of the little shrimp in there, and her tail is already trying to molt. You see where it's clear? And that's not good. She could actually die from that if she doesn't have those babies quickly. The panda, the panda loach is doing super well. Yeah, so there's all that, and then I decided just for the heck of it to throw some crystal shrimp in here just to see if they would cope to the hill stream condition and lower temperature that I set for these guys. But the bummer part being that the temperature at outside and stuff has been above 80 so often, and my house gets 10 to 20 degrees hotter than that, and all of a sudden I need to put ice cubes or a chiller or whatever in there. Also in here we've got some planaria that I feed to these guys. This is a quarantine tank. We've got I bought these for 20 bucks. I got 6 of them. They are orange-eyed lemon tetras. And then also some large praecox. These are dwarf rainbows, but they're very old, so they're big. And then we should have, where the heck are they? We should have, man, look at this poor sick puffer. He's just done. Um, that tank has all the meds in it too, and then we've got the cichlids down here too, the Honduran red points, so they need to get a new tank as well. And I've just been waiting and waiting and waiting for this 90p, and nobody's manufacturing the 90ps right now, and it's driving me freaking nuts. Um, so yeah, this is all gonna get trimmed hopefully this week, and I want to open it up and get some better estimates of how many freaking catfish I have in here, because there's a ton. There's babies all the time. Um, Also, let's see here. Do 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 do. Um, yeah, my blue dreams are the ones from Lucas, and then from there, believe it or not, I've been like I need even more like intense culling, and so I've even made his strain bluer than he makes it, just because of a challenge, and because he did so much work. Him and what was his name, Ian Fuller, maybe. I can't remember the guy's name for sure, but did a lot of work for us as hobbyists for the last 15 years or whatever. By the way, while I see it, here is a true female Batis. No signs of striping. Highly desired around here. I guess everybody's been hunting the fish stores, especially since I did a few episodes on how hard the female Batis are to actually get a true one and not a sneaking male. Also, there's more Batis in here. I released all 10 Batis that I had, or 11 of them, in here. So they're all in there. They're just hiding, and I don't worry about it. Same with the CPDs. The Celestial Pearl Danios are also in here somewhere. They're hiding around. And then the other critters that are in here now are these beautiful golden half beaks, and I want to breed them too. So that should be fun. They have really just lovely coloring on them. They're quick. They move around the water just like an alien. I mean, they're like pipefish, like saltwater pipefish. And so I really like watching them, and photographically, they're just kind of stunning. So there's a lot of like rare plants and fancy plants, and I just haven't had CO2 on it all because we go camping, we go doing this now. I had an art gallery showing. Um, we've been going up to the mountains, doing all sorts of stuff. And I didn't want to abuse my fish or plants, so I kind of just let them naturally chill out without the CO2. But because of that, could you tell me what kind of Rotala this is? No, you can't. I can't tell you, and I know what I planted where, and it's all there. There's like 6 kinds right in here, and I'll have no idea until I crank the CO2 and ferts up again. So, c'est la vie, right? Um, and on that note, uh, these guys are getting the lights turned off on them. This, I hope to tell you more about, but I don't know how to stop it other than maybe an antibiotic, but I just hate nuking all the good antibiotics, all the good probiotics, I should say, in the tank. I just feel like, man, again, throwing the baby out with the bath water. All the other tanks are doing fine. It doesn't seem to, show its face in the other tanks. Yeah, so the other thing is I started using just crushed snail shells. So just I'd let snails reproduce when I overfeed in these tanks, and smash them every once in a while. And the shrimp will eat the snail, and then the shell's in there, and then we've got a great, calcium and mineral source, just like the sheds. I don't pull any of the sheds out either. So, oh, and here's another thing. This is one of my bonsai instruments from immediately following World War II. I have a whole set that a friend who passed away, his wife gave them to me, thinking because of all the stuff I do with plants that I might be interested. Heavy duty, there's a specific task for each of these, and you're supposed to impart a lot of intentionality and thoughtfulness, meditativeness, and things like that into it. And I just haven't been in a headspace where I feel like I'm doing it the honor it deserves, especially because these in particular tools are really cool in that it's a company that existed in Taiwan and Japan, but they are from the government immediately. The Japanese tools are from the government immediately following World War II, and they actually tanks, all sorts of stuff, armor for battleships and things, and they melted that down and repurposed it as for tools and things, and then they stamped it. Each family and each workshop had different stamps, and I've been able to trace a couple, but not all of them. And it seems like a hodgepodge, which matches up because I think my friend who passed away, he was 60 several years ago when he passed away, and his father was in the Korean War, I want to say, and was part of the police action of being in Korea after, or being in Korea and in Japan after the wars. So, I want to thank you guys so much for helping out with merchandise. I'm getting new colors like black background with the white art. I'm going to add new fish, things like that. But comment at the end of this video what you'd like to see, what turns your gears, and anything else you'd like to see in a video soon. A video on some cichlids and also on the updates on tests on shrimp I've been doing about how they can survive. The secret is just don't do anything quickly. And I'm talking even 12 hours. Like, more than 12 hours, you'll probably be fine. Anything quick, lots of chemicals, good chance you're going to stress them out and kill them, even if they're the right chemicals. La 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 la. Okay, so I will talk about a lot of the gravel and substrate stuff for each species and what I do and if it's cycled. And, some tanks I've had substrate and then I take it out. For the shrimp, I just literally rebooted a tank that had a really bad flesh-eating necrotizing fasciitis, flesh-eating bacteria that killed 6 plecos that I cared about and wood cats a year ago now, probably. So when I gutted that, I was just going to cycle it and throw some shrimp in while it did its cycle for a month or two. And it just became a shrimp tank. So the other thing I wanted to say before I hop off, there's a link to the merch store. There's a link to my Patreon. And I really appreciate all that because right now I'm trying to figure out, do I put in more production value, effort, more research? Because, a lot of these videos take, 20 hours of research or something. And instead of producing something with graphs and charts and video excerpts and things, which I've thought about teaming up with an editor to make them more watchable, I guess, or maybe shorter, a little less wordy, because I like to talk, right? But that gives me more time to research. It gives me more money to go buy an interesting fish and raise it and show you guys and try to breed it. And so I'd also like to see some suggestions in the coming comment section of what you'd like to see, what fish you'd like to see bred. I'm really wishing I could have my 90p here. Aquashella, I don't know how that's shaping up because I can't get hold of anybody that I needed to. There's been a shuffle of the guard there, I think, to some degree, of who's running what or what companies are doing what. And so I'm still waiting to hear on that. But I definitely will be in the Midwest in early September also. I'll be in Columbus for 5 or 6 days, and then I will be in Memphis for 5 or 6 days from the 6th to the 16th. So if anybody in that area would like to hang out or, show me their fish room, I'm throwing that out into the universe. And, obviously these travels, we're going to take care of some family issues with my wife's family. Say hello to her siblings and her father and her step siblings. And then we're also just making a little road trip out of it and maybe hopefully seeing some things like I'm going to try to fish for some sunfish and some bass and maybe go to some of the caves. Yeah, I agree. Memphis isn't really the Midwest, but it's something. It's like the South. It's Appalachia. I don't know what to call it. I'll let people in Memphis decide. I'll let Peck Tech decide what to call it, right? Is he in Memphis or is he in... and I'm not going to Memphis, by the way. Sorry, I said Memphis. I don't know why I said Memphis. We're going to the other... Nashville. Gosh. Been to both of them. They're both cool towns. And yeah, so that's what's going on. Let me know what colors, what cuts, like t-shirts, headbands, stickers, whatever it is. Let me know what you want out of the merch. which designs you like, and then I can add more to that, and then I'll get like black hoodies and things like that out. But the white stuff is going to be limited edition. It's printed on front and back. That's why it costs a little bit more. But my profit will be the same whether it's a one-sided shirt or a two-sided shirt. But I think I'll have some $15 to $16 shirts with shipping and everything, hopefully, that are just the one-sided, just kind of a normal t-shirt. And then if you want the Made in America triple combed fitted shirt, I think it's like $21. So that's how it goes. You guys get to pick. But I appreciate that. Helps funds do what I do. And I'm also editing some Florida footage still. I still have, I don't know, 30 hours that I haven't shown. So hopefully we can have some of that going on. And now we're getting out of the summer cycle in the next month and getting back into fall and, setting up tanks and stuff. So hopefully I get the 90p, and that's going to be a whole other set of money with lights and things, depending on how I set it up and filters. But hopefully they become available soon. Just for my own mental well-being, I would be very excited for when that happens. So, all right, guys, you have a wonderful night. Take care of your critters. Take care of your critter sitters, your friends and family, and yourself. And it will all come back to you many-fold over. Uh, your plants will make your air. Breathe it in, relax. Life doesn't need to be too serious. And I hope you guys are all doing well. If you need to get at me about something I missed here, you can comment. You can personally message me on Facebook or through the Facebook group. There's links to all that. And I will talk to you later. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening and a even better week. Bye.